allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. With the flag. There you go. All right. Minutes of the previous meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Do we have any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Agenda, anything to add?
I'd like to add commission compensation for Commissioner DSET.
Okay. Put that down under new business, that's okay, sure.
That just automatically isn't there, no?
It should be, but,
Oh, I know.
We'll talk about
Okay.
it when we get to that point.
okay. So
Okay, if that's okay with everyone, then I'd take a motion to.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the amended agenda. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Kevin.
All right. Start off with road updates. We do have all of our washouts filled from previous. Including all the township roads and bridges and everything's done. Just a little bit of gravel put on here and there, but we're caught up that way. All roads are open on the county system.
We should update that on the website. I think it's still on the parcel viewer as possibly closed.
Which motion, Steve?
On the parcel viewer,
Yeah,
when it pops up on the map, it has the little red lines as closed. Isn't that what that red line
it
meant?
is, but I thought I updated them all like a week ago.
Oh, I was on there yesterday and it showed up, so.
They aren't green dots, they're red dots.
The red dots.
Okay, once they're updated, they turn green, so,
Oh.
okay,
Couple of look at it.
thanks for that.
Yeah,
Now, some of you probably know that we had another cave in on Prairie Road, just south of town on the asphalt. Not exactly sure what happened there. We are gonna be able to get it covered on our federal disaster, so, we open cut it this morning and let it flow for the day, and then tomorrow morning we're gonna put the culvert back in. Close it back up, and then, just to see you guys know, so that, and then Paul did the hydraulic study or whatever on there, there's quite a few culverts that will have to go back into that. I don't know exactly what, but again, it's gonna be like almost 3 times bigger than it was before, so.
So we're gonna have to do a temporary like we did on the other ones and then come back and get her next year?
That's exactly right, yeah.
And you were talking county 10? No, which ones? All of them.
All of
right.
them, all of them will have to be redone, because the culverts that are there are not big enough.
So they putting actual culverts in or box culverts or what's the plan?
They'll be putting culverts in.
These box culverts are way out and getting.
Yeah, it would take us another year to get concrete structures.
Well, they're putting those big ones in with the liners, all right?
Yeah, we're putting plastic liners in, yeah. When we can get them. The one we're putting in Prairie is plastic line.
That's the one gonna be plastic.
Yeah, so we'll be able to leave it there, just add till we get to where we're supposed to be, if that makes sense. Once we do the permanent repair next summer.
FEMA, they're involved with that.
It's a form of FEMA, it's the highway, federal highway side of FEMA, it's not really FEMA, but.
The old culvert there was just, it disappeared.
Yeah,
Just a lot of pieces, little pieces.
Really?
there is another culvert further down, but
Two more, there's two more.
2 more, yes, that's right. And all of them count towards the size of the hydraulic study, but it's still not big enough.
Mhm.
But otherwise, I think we're pretty well caught, other than graveling, or, the graveling part's gonna be ongoing for a couple of years anyway. everything's passable anyway. Any questions about that? Yeah, I talked, just for your information, I talked to Jim Bassett at John Deere about helping us pay for the sidewalk upgrades on the Hamden project. By the Hamden dealership up there, and he was happy to help out. And I also talked to the North Plains Ag people, and they're not at all interested in helping out. They said that they pay taxes in Ramsey County, so that's their contribution to helping out on the project. In fact, they told us they didn't want us doing any work in front of their building. There's a little bit of water that stands there, not a lot, maybe that deep. But we were gonna try and fix that so water would flow out of there, but they don't want that done, so. Yeah, just so you guys are aware. It wasn't a pleasant conversation. We ran out of 24-inch, 4-foot long colors. I need to order some of them. And they're gonna cost $18,502.80. Set up a motion to go ahead and order those or not pay for them.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second to order 24 by 24 culverts. Further discussion? None, all in favor, please by saying aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Motion carries.
And then the two sites, the two of our gravel projects, one on the county line south of Chiefs Ferry and one on the road outside the old Fish and Wildlife compound. Both underwater again, so I'm gonna cancel those two gravel projects. When I wrote the specs for it, I put in the specs that if they became inundated again, that we had the option to back out, so we'll be able to do that, just for your information. That's all I have, unless you have something for me.
Okay. Anything else for Kevin?
Thanks for all the hard work, Kevin.
Yeah.
It's been a busy spring.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Are things moving ahead with FEMA, or do you know anything about it?
Seems like a turtle pace, but, you know, we're gathering information from the townships. They have taken, FEMA, the state boys have all taken all the information that we submitted, and they are combining that and getting ready to send that to the president, so. They're still, as far as I know, the state is compiling the information from the highway wires that blew over, the Red River that flooded, and everybody else, so they're gonna compile all that.
Oh.
I don't know why it's taking this long.
A lot of different information is supposed to get together when there's many disasters that we have. One thing with a bunch of stuff.
So we still don't know if it's the actual presidential disaster.
Right, we do not.
If it's qualified for that.
It does qualify,
Okay.
money wise,
Yeah.
but as far as I don't think they even submitted it to the president yet, so.
Sure.
What did you think of the meeting this afternoon?
I figured it was gonna go. The camera's running, but I don't know, I don't see the state changing their mind. That's just my personal opinion, but.
I think I got kind of flustered.
It seemed to me too that it seemed like their heels are dug in, and, which is unfortunate. I think there's better alternatives out there, but, I don't know if they're willing to take a serious look at it. But.
No, I don't know if everyone's aware, but Myrna was on the board at the time, and she witnessed the accident death out there, came up on it. That kind of got the ball rolling, so I get where this is going, where it's going. And Myrna and Bill Mertens still always had to make that left-hand turn into his house, and no kidding, the traffic behind you is a concern.
It is.
And there's still no turning lane, is there?
No.
So that's where, when they refer to the thing about the previous commission making a safety, that's where it comes from. It was probably legitimate. at the time, so
Mm,
that part I wanted to defend them on.
I know
Yeah.
before Vining got there, turning lanes, I came up on a car, I was gonna I was going home east. I was gonna turn into no, I wasn't turning, but the car ahead of me was. All of a sudden they threw their blinker on. And there was a car coming up on my right. You know, I had to slam on the brakes. You know,
yeah.
I mean, that should have been turning lanes, so they could have been out of the way. You know. And finally, not long after that, they put them in.
Yeah, I think turning lanes would probably solve the problem, I agree.
I think more of them in.
More of them longer.
Yeah, I think the big thing is they're all 100 feet long.
Right.
If they actually made them spec and they were 600 plus
Yeah,
and, you know, cut down a few access points here and there where you have to stack on top of each other, that would be a huge difference. But I mean, at the end of the day, we met with them, we've aired the concerns, we've done everything we can do. I think other than to continue to just keep reiterating that, you know, people out there don't want this solution. Just keep working with them as best we can. See if we can change their mind, I guess, at this point. But they're gonna make the decision that they're gonna make in the end, I guess.
I wasn't aware of the big loads coming out of that. Tank place, I mean.
Not the close petroleum.
certainly not that big.
No,
Yeah.
You're never gonna be big, yeah.
Express that, 'cause I don't-
Yes.
Well, it was beneficial too, that, I mean, at least he said, you know, Jordan had the foresight to go talk to Wyatt too. So
Yeah.
they knew that some of these things were gonna have to be at least thought of, you know, try to design for them, I suppose, but. Yeah, it's 100 and some foot loads are gonna be,
It'll be like one of those wiggers you see on those.
yeah, yeah.
Window.
Turbine work on there, yeah.
Right?
Why?
Other than Wyatt, I thought the other three were caught off guard on that.
A little bit.
I asked Joe about that on the turbines, he said his will be longer than
No kidding.
A 90,000, I think you said a 90,000, vessel, that's a big vessel. I mean, the regular anhydrous ones you see are like only 30s, I think, so.
Most fuel tanks are 10.
And most, 10 to 20 on fuel tanks, so you think about what kind of size you're gonna need for a 90,000 gallon vessel, that's a big vessel.
And I was glad that got brought up.
Yeah.
that. He's definitely strong.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna have to pull those up, I don't think there's a question, you have to pilot them, they gotta be permitted.
That's what they do with their big wings, is stop the traffic and get them out on the road and then start the traffic.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much, just a couple times a week, that or once a week or whatever, or every other week, is just gonna be what it's gonna be, and stop traffic.
It was very informative, I felt.
Yeah. And I do think that a lot of it comes down to human behavior and I don't know how we get cell phones out of the hands of drivers.
You
You
don't,
know, we've been.
never will.
And it's all ages. It's just not
It's
the
all
young ones,
ages.
it's all ages.
It's, you drive semi, and
Yeah.
it'll scare the living hell out of you.
Yeah,
Cause you pull up and you can see down the vehicles, everyone is on their cell
yeah,
phone. And it's like, you guys don't have a realization, I got, and a truck with loaded with grain isn't even that heavy compared to some of these,
Yeah.
and it's still heavy enough, but I can't stop on a dime here,
no,
Right,
and everyone's now doing this,
yeah.
it's just like, oh my goodness.
Scary to drive loaders and smaller tractors down the road.
yeah. So,
Well, all we can do is, like I said, keep pressure on, hope for the best outcome, I guess, at this point.
well, they've heard our concerns.
Yeah.
So,
What we can do, I guess. Okay, any further discussion on that? No, thanks, Kevin, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, unfinished business, NDACO standing committees, and we pushed this from last meeting being, Commissioner Wolf wasn't here. If you have any interest, we've got I believe 4 different committees, more than that, 5.
I heard he wanted the first page.
Huh?
I heard he wanted the
You wanna get all of them? We can nominate you. Audit committee, nominating resolutions, legislative, and, well, there's another one that doesn't need appointments, that's just the blue record. So there's the 4 of them. I believe Commissioner Frith said he was interested in being nominated for the legislative committee again, correct?
maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm having second thoughts.
Sorry about that, maybe I should have turned the smoke, I guess.
I don't know. It's interesting and I'd be willing to do it, but if there's somebody else that wants it or You know, and nothing says we have to put anybody's name in any of these committees.
No, it's not a required thing, it's just if there's interest.
No. I think the NDACO is a very active board, and it's always good to have representation in this part of the state on some of those boards. Kevin served as leadership on that, and Sam Dick up in Cavalier County Commissioner served as president, and I'm not sure if anybody else from this part of the state.
In the past, one time Ramsey County had 3.
Coming up again?
No, in fact, Stan will be going off.
Right.
Nick Mosier, I think, is his name, correct? He's our representative, so maybe at some point he'll, the Cavalier County, so he's neighbors, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Nick will do a good job too.
Yeah.
I think he's very active. So. Any interest, Lane?
You have one more meeting.
Yeah, we got some time still.
You got one more
Think about it.
meeting to think about it.
And like we said, it's not a requirement.
Are these all met in Bismarck or how is that?
We did the legislative committee through Zoom this past session. And
I would assume,
I think some of them are at the convention, in October.
like the resolutions committee will probably meet, I would guess, via Zoom previous once. Then they'll go through the resolution, so they're ready for the commission, or ready for the,
Convention.
convention meeting, yeah.
Yeah.
Legislative committee, I served on that once, and we did, I think there was one in-person meeting, and then everything else was via phone, that was previous. So it'd be kind of similar. And then occasionally, they were pretty good about it, if, the legislative committee, if there's things specific to your county that are really important, they'll want you to come down and possibly testify or something like that. But most of the time, they've got commissioners from around Bismarck that are, it's more easy for them, obviously, to get in that day, so they'll try their best to try to get those commissioners to come in and help them out.
They send you all the stuff out that you need to know?
Yep, they got staff from NDACO that stays on top of all of it. It was actually, like Jeff said, it's really beneficial. There's a lot of stuff there. And that's probably out of all these committees, in all honesty, at least in my opinion, the legislative one is the most important. Just, not that the other ones aren't important, but they're for just each convention, basically, and the resolutions that we push forward are important. But staying on top of the legislation is once, and we're gonna have a legislative meeting this year, so it's
Very educational legislative.
And
Legislative committee.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, it's a good place to start with some jail funding.
Absolutely it is. And Danielle is, she's isn't she the head of the sheriff's organization and,
She is for us
Yeah.
too, for auditors and treasurers.
so she's a really good, strong advocate for that.
Do you think they'll meet during a convention?
Yeah. Yeah, they'll do resolutions and things that we want to bring forward prior to the convention, so we can, vote on it there and decide on some of the things that we want to bring forward.
Another outlet could be that if we wanted to do something with that, we could stick a resolution together ourselves, push it through maybe either the Northeast 9 or whatever, and then run it to the state and see if we could get some support from the County Commissioners Association or the NDACO as a standing resolution. Because those resolutions then become kind of the push that the NDACO gets behind. So maybe we could work with the other counties around us too and draft something that we can push forward. Because I think any avenue we can find that we can come up with a plan and try to draft something forward so we can push it, because we're gonna need some kind of assistance.
Yeah.
I know it didn't make the study. I know that.
Well,
That's very beneficial, most of the time, very beneficial looking at the study. I know it didn't make that, but this would be a good avenue to try that.
In the resolution committee?
The legislative committee, go through that,
I think both committees would be
both of them,
pretty important.
Probably submit the same thing to both, so that
Sure.
we get traction on one or the other.
And
Or
then
maybe they might even talk and then.
part of the legislative committee, like Adam said, if pertains to your county and specifically that may ask you to come down and testify. And I even had a handy dandy name tag that said, legislative, representative for Ramsey County or Association of Counties. But
We could get a lot of support right within our own jail board.
Well,
you know,
the other counties.
So you work counties together there, and I'm sure Rolette County would jump on. They're,
Even if a person got all four, would put the resolution in as a whole. Yeah.
rugby. How many, you read the Pierce County lately, Jeff? I haven't, but
Kind of the
I know
same
they got a
goal.
lot of trouble.
I think it's a standing theme across the state.
I agree with you.
I mean, every jail is struggling with, incarceration costs
Can
and
I,
increased crime rates.
I'll let you guys know on next meeting or what candidate will before the next meeting. And go from there. I wanna do some research.
No.
I'll get thrown to the wolves.
I think possibly legislatively, I think it might be doable.
It'd be beneficial to have somebody from Ramsey County and
Absolutely.
I could certainly do it and,
Okay.
Next
do
meeting.
it again.
Yeah, and if I can't obviously sit on the legislative committee because I won't be here anymore, but, like the resolutions or something, if we need somebody there, I'll sit there and move forward if they'd be, if they'd see me on it, I guess. I don't know if they would since I'm growing out of office.
Appreciate any help you can give.
But we definitely have to put something together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We just can't continue on this way. With the funding in it.
Okay, well, we'll leave it, as, I don't think we need to table it, we'll just leave it on unfinished business, we'll talk about it next week again if that's okay. Okay, on to new business then, discussion on July 5th meeting date. I guess Andy, if you want to describe it? Or would you like me to describe it?
Can we have the meeting on Thursday?
That was easy enough.
No,
no. The 5th is on a Tuesday, the 4th of July,
Fourth,
obviously, Monday
yeah.
holiday.
First is a Friday,
Yeah, if it was an afternoon meeting on the 5th, it'd be easier, but Thursday's just easier to do. So is okay with everyone to move to Thursday to 7th?
Other counties are doing something.
yeah, well, a lot of counties have their meeting, their first meeting of the month on a Thursday anyway, instead of a Tuesday.
Some have Mondays too.
Yeah,
It's kinda interesting.
but there's just not enough turnaround time from the first being on Friday to get
Well,
bills,
you
to
got,
get,
get bills around there.
holiday.
Pretty important day.
Oh, yeah, it's her birthday.
4th of July?
Yeah, July 7th.
July 7th is her
Oh,
birthday.
well, then we have to have it on the
Yep.
7th. Bring some cake.
I'll
Oh
bring
my
the
God.
cake.
You're gonna bring the cake?
I'll bring the
Well,
cake.
You can order it.
already, like,
I'll bring the cake.
do we need a motion to move it, being we've had a previous motion to set the meeting dates, correct?
I'll make a motion to move it to the 7th.
Okay,
Second.
we have a motion and a second to move the July 5th meeting date to July 7th. You're gonna keep it at 8 AM, correct? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Further discussion?
Oh.
Hearing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Yeah. Okay, we have a homestead credits.
So approved.
Second.
I got it.
6 to 1 in favor.
Um,
All right, we got a motion and a second to approve the homestead credits. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Liquor licenses.
Move it, approve.
Alright.
We have a motion and a second to approve the liquor licenses as presented. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Site authorization.
Move it, approve.
Second.
That was a tie.
Okay, give it to Commissioner Dees. All right, further discussion on site authorizations? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Budget discussion. That excitement, I like to hear. So Candy was kind enough and the staff to put together the things that we have in front of us with some proposed steps or percentage increases. I think basically the thought process is, at our first meeting in July, then we'll probably set dates when we wanna start sitting down to budget, or do we wanna start bringing people in that first meeting in July, or wait a little bit? Maybe second meeting like we've done before, start at 2 o'clock instead of 4 or something, but we can make that determination probably at that point.
What day are we gonna close?
Oh, I have to, close on the 27th,
Yeah, cause that kinda gives us a 6 month.
because I have
Number
done
at
that
least to
homestead
work out.
credit and VA stuff in.
So I have till Thursday, because I want it, like, when I run the budgets, I want it to be like a 6-month figure.
Oh, I won't close.
No,
Good.
but
Oh.
what you do shouldn't, because,
Okay.
because if Jackie's done writing,
Yep,
then we should be okay.
okay,
And
okay.
you guys are talking this step. So if someone's maxed out on the step, and there's no step, right?
No, then they just get the percentage. If there is a percentage, cost of living percentage.
Okay, I just wanna make sure I'm tracking that correctly.
I mean, we don't have to make a determination right now, because I mean, well, like most years, we will probably expand that second meeting in July, and do some early, and then we can also, if we don't have any on the 7th, then we'll probably have to stick one special meeting in there to finish all the budget work off, because we can usually knock out a couple of meetings, so. But, we have
I
to,
work on it and I get it, like, I mean,
well, we have to bring in all those outside entities too, so we have to,
right.
that's always the tough part. Our in-house stuff is pretty easy, just come in and knock it out. So maybe if some of the small, the departments with easier budgets could, maybe we could start that on the 7th and just get them knocked out. That would probably be the easiest way to do it, so we'll let Candy work with that, but basically the main thing from my perspective is to, just giving guidance on, what we're gonna do, or salaries, what should we give the department heads as a number to figure their budgets off of. They can do the rest of it, obviously, but. And, I think at the LEC meeting, we said what they're doing on the preliminary, it's 4.
Yeah, they still for pretty high. I got a big idea that the board's gonna take that back, so.
Yeah, it's quite possible. Thoughts?
I was gonna ask Brian this, and maybe Candy knows, that, wage study, market study, won't be done anytime near, no.
It won't.
No,
Not for this year.
No,
not for this year, no.
Because we've got to be, complete by September?
October,
October,
yeah.
that's right. Yeah, prelim August. That is, yeah, you'd have to, if we want to get the preliminary somewhat accurate, I think to build in the possibility of salary study being, we don't know where it's gonna go, it would be awful difficult to not actually absolutely have everything completely on the line. The one thing I would say is if the salary study comes back in October and we have some, we've got discretionary funds still from ARPA dollars and stuff like that, we could at that point make a determination to move the salaries and just offset it with those dollars for the year or something, but I think at least in my opinion, we budget off of the percentage, and if we want to do a step, we can go from there.
I got a question for you. What's the word on the street, like you're the supervisor, people talking? Or wages?
Or the increases? Yeah, they're in that 4 to 5 to, I don't know what county you're talking about.
No, I'm just talking like in your department. What do you hear off the streets as far as your guys talking, like? What do they think would be fair type thing,
Yeah, of course, they're gonna say they're underpaid, but like Fargo is giving all of their employees a 5% raise just because they can't keep them. The state.
Yeah.
Kind of try to feel the process out to see.
I don't know if we're there yet, but it's you know, writing on the wall type of thing.
There's rumbles that the city are having a hard time hanging on to people.
Yeah, in fact, they can't even get applications there.
What is the main problem, wages?
Wages, and then they tried to make it so the person doing the hiring could set the wage, and that's not even working. They're trying to fix it, but there's no people, nobody applying. I don't know.
My biggest fear is we can't come to a budget. What are we gonna do? You know, what I'm saying is, I had brought this up to Ed before, we're at so many mills already. So let's say you go out there and you give a 5% raise, and then all of a sudden here we sit as a commission and we gotta raise taxes to the point where, so I gave you a $2,000 raise for the year, and now I'm taking 900 back. Are we kicking ourselves in the butt, you know? I don't want it to come down to that either.
Yeah.
Well, we can start high and come down.
Yes.
Right.
You know, so,
That's part of the budget process for August.
yeah.
You go in high,
Yeah,
then
we'll
you
have to
take
go
it from
down.
there and you pick it apart.
Yeah.
You wanna try to get it as, you come in high, but you wanna try to get it as reasonably numbered as you can, because otherwise when you gotta send out those preliminary budget things, then people get all revved up if it shows a huge increase, and that's understandable.
Better be pretty close to the cup.
Yeah, you wanna try to get it as close as you can, but at the same time, come in high and have. a
Because they
little
have been looking at them and some don't look at them, but there is some that do.
In all honesty, I mean, I'm not saying that, I'm just looking at numbers and increase, I mean, I don't know how we hold the line. I mean, I'm not saying we go crazy, obviously, but I think if we're gonna take care of our employees and try to, you know, at least try to hold the boat steady, I think there's gonna be some type of an increase, you know, unless we completely cut out one-time discretionary spending type stuff, you know, vehicles and things like that we try to replace on a rolling basis, and you can save money in some of those spots, but then, it's like anything, are you cutting off your nose to spite your face? You know? I mean, all of a sudden, you don't replace the sheriff's vehicle because we wanna save $30,000, but then we get a $6,000 repair bill, you know? It's six of one half dozen the other, I don't know.
One thing we gotta remember, you got probably the best benefit package.
Absolutely.
and we do,
And I remind that,
and we do.
Or,
Well,
I've mentioned that more times
I
than,
don't see any need to monkey with that.
it's holding its own, it's actually, that account is doing well.
Yeah,
My main concern would be is if we don't take care, you know, cause hiring a good employee, it costs a lot of money. Losing a good employee costs more.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yes, so you
It does.
lose knowledge,
It does.
you lose capabilities.
Never know.
Yeah, so we gotta take care of our people first, so what's that number that is a reasonable number, so we take care of our employees, so we don't have, you know, cause I don't wanna get in a situation where we can't find people. And we're out there beating the streets trying to get people to come work for us, but right up to this point, we've been
pretty lucky,
that we've had very minimal turnover in the past couple of, you know, there's always a few here and there, but I mean, overall, we've been a pretty steady ship.
Pretty much in the last year.
Part of it is looking at some of the names.
employees,
We're,
employees,
employees,
you maintain them.
kind of
Yeah, we haven't had
there
there.
with our, we're not getting
One of the last one quit,
young, real,
Well,
you know,
before that,
that's where I think a lot of people.
25 years ago.
Get a lot of-
That's a good
A lot of it is our benefit package.
You
It
know,
really is.
Well, one thing like Kevin's department, they say, look at the winter they had.
I know.
I mean, even S&E, and the spring was worse,
Right,
and now we got roads up. But he's kept busy, but, you know, employees and.
Probably good that you stay busy, cause then they don't have the time to look around. I'm just usually,
Yeah,
if you're busy, your job usually is better. You're sitting there twiddling your thumbs, now you got all this time on your hands, but on the same token, the work that they've been.
I think we'll be fine.
Busy.
Instead of what they had.
Want some contact?
Thank you.
Yeah, any thoughts where we should give guidance?
Well, if we went with the straight 6, or a 4 and a step. Is it a 4 and a step I was looking at? Trying to compare some numbers here that look like they'd be equally somewhere in that rough neighborhood.
Let's see. A straight 6 would be close to, yeah, you're right, yep, straight 6 would be close to 5 in a step. Or 4 in a step, excuse me.
4 and a
4 in a
step.
step. I guess I'm of the opinion that if we're gonna try to be aggressive and keep wages anyway, we might as well just do the step. Because
Right.
that, that's, long-term, the step is important.
Yeah,
So might as well keep the step involved, so it's a step plus what,
And with that cost, or that wage study, and I don't know what's, what they'll propose for us going forward.
Yeah, we don't have a clue at this point.
Yeah.
Like I said, the thought would be that at that point, if there's massive changes, then we'll have to probably make some determinations on where we go. But if there's minor changes, then we can probably work that in budget or whatever, but we'll figure it out when it comes. And if it's too big to handle, then you'll just have to say, well, we're gonna make the change starting, those be budgeted to the next budget year. And that's just what we're gonna do, we're gonna make it work.
I think the step helps me because of evaluation time. They know they need to work hard to get that step, but it's just something everybody's going to do.
right.
And I agree. That's always been kind of the carrot there, you get to move that step, your base salary moves up a little bit, performance based.
We always try to tell them what they can do to improve themselves, so they work hard on that. Then they get their step, all that type.
So 4 in a step, is that where we'd like to go, or?
Well,
I think that's very comparable to what we've done at the jail, or what's been proposed, I should say.
One
I'm
thing
not
I
gonna,
will
I'm not
say,
gonna lie, 4% for me is, you guys are being very generous,
yeah,
because the public is not doing 4%. I'm looking at,
Do you know what the city's doing? Property?
I think,
Because the city isn't the same as a jailhouse.
I know what we're getting on the federal side, and it's not even close.
I don't know what to see.
Well,
To me,
I had
4%
heard
is very
6.
generous,
but I don't
especially
know
last
that
year
for
we
sure.
did 4%, and a lot of people were only getting 1%.
cost of living is what's going on. I don't even know.
I don't either.
You'll never keep up with cost of living.
No, you're right, you're absolutely right.
No, we can't keep up with the inflation factor right on that.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the 4% is definitely fair, some of the things that isn't fair out there.
3?
There's crazy.
And that's been the average,
we can always come
is
down.
like,
Well, a step's like usually worth about 1.5, I think, something 1, 2, so we've predominantly usually done probably 2 in a step. Cost of living is usually coming in around there, so we usually end up right around there, so everybody gains a little bit every year.
But what I was looking at is, for instance, you're probably maxed out on the steps.
I'm not, at least there's 3 or 4.
I'm looking at the
They're
people that are
not,
maxed
so they
out
can't
too,
vote
so
on this. That's what I'm.
is it a kick in the face
You know what
for
I mean?
them?
I
I
know,
don't know.
yes, it is. Just for instance, I've got a guy that's been working probably 3 years longer than the guy beneath him.
But I think.
And now because
Oh, I
of
suppose.
he stepped out.
Yeah,
The
you're right.
other guy is over making more money than him now because he stepped out, but the other guy, the next guy down still stepping. So it
Yeah.
doesn't work out for everyone. And it's the people who are stepped out.
Pretty soon you got the ones coming behind you and then.
but then
bypass you.
that decision can be made within.
Well, and we've talked about stretching the steps again too, and putting an extra 5 years on the steps or something so that people aren't capped, because we have such good long-term employees, I don't want that to happen. And we've done that once since I've been on the commission, I think we went from 25 to 30 or something like that, or I can't remember what it was, but we stretched it once already, so we could do it again if we had to.
You guys
And trying to be fair across the board, you know, if we're talking living costs increase, well then, the person that stepped out is, they're still doing the job every day, you know? That's just, and not to try to punish the people that aren't maxed out on steps, but, you know.
But to make it fair for those people that are capped and only get a 4%. You know,
Yeah.
make their percentage increase like a 5.5. You know, the same as what a step,
Before that.
right,
You can do that too.
no,
That makes perfect sense.
because there is, let me see. Ones that have a star, but so we're at one.
Star.
Yep, you're a star.
No, there.
So if they have a star, they're maxed out on steps, is what you're saying?
Roger Gunderson.
There's like 6.
So,
I think Roger, I think after
Somebody
this
else,
year, I think this year you're like,
You're capped.
you're capped.
You're capped.
After, well,
Gary
next
Penner.
year, I mean, 2 years from now. I'll get my step this year, right? Isn't that right?
No, you have a star.
You have a star, so
Oh.
you're capped.
You're the star.
You have a star.
Okay, now I'm really gonna.
You
Gary
are
Penner.
a
But
star.
even, you know, I think the last 2 steps are only 0.5%, right?
Yeah, the higher end of the cap, the steps aren't as big.
Yes. Well, if you said that you've got the 0.5% until you retire, I mean, that would be fair for everyone.
Well, the thing of it is that the whole point of the steps is, and when you get to the top of the scale, you can't exponentially keep moving up because the job description is still a job description.
Right.
You know, so I mean, you still have to be in the, you know what you're gonna get paid in the ballpark.
Because they knew that when they took the job, that it's gonna max out at this step.
Yeah, I mean, and
After that, it's just.
then if you're gonna move from that spot, you need to move up to another job description kind of thing.
I guess if you look at it, if you look at it that way.
Yeah.
And if someone's maxed out on step, they knew that they were only gonna get the living cost because they were maxed out like for yourself.
Well, that's a fair statement. The only problem is I got guys that, whoa, the guy that are making more money, he stepped out. That's, looks ugly.
Yeah.
Is that because it increased as those?
Yeah, the state's got all kinds of problems with that. They got compression issues all over the place.
Oh, we gotta remember that benefit package. I mean, that's, like I said, that's the best one in town.
By far.
Yep. But then you also want to make it fair for those
Oh, I know what you're saying.
employees that have been here for. But I'm not capped yet, so.
We'll have this argument in there.
No, I just see like the other side of it when it comes to the employee that, you know, they only got like a, you know,
No matter what you do,
$200 a month increase and the other one got like $450 and.
Yeah.
no matter what you do, you have.
And they do
You're
count.
always gonna have that.
Yeah.
They're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Supervisors, they make more, so percentage.
Is more, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, hypothetically, once you get to the top of the wage scale, 0.5% of your total wage is better than probably 1.5% of somebody at more of a closer starting wage. So, I mean, that's the
Right.
thought process behind why the steps work, and they do. It's just occasionally it's a good problem to have. You got a lot of really good long-term employees. That means that people wanted to stay here and do a good job. So, I mean, but that's something we can try to alleviate if.
The other side of it, they should be looking at, if you're the one getting the large increase, they should be looking at when you're retiring, how they can fill that position. You know what I'm saying?
I
They
know.
gotta look for advance.
I know.
They gotta look for advance for that one also.
Of course. It's not
Well, just being a not on the, you know.
Okay. Further discussion? We don't have a motion, I guess. I'm not at Robert's Rules of Order here. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, keeping you guys on
well,
track.
is that what we want? Is it a motion to give departments a direction, or are we just kind of spitballing a number?
Well, I guess we can do it either way, that's fine. I mean, we're just giving guidance.
Yeah.
I kind of need to know where to tell department heads.
Yeah, we have to give them a definitive
To
answer,
start.
but it doesn't have to be a motion.
So we can fill in our
Give a
blanks.
directive to go 3% on one budget and 4% on another budget, you know, like, fair. I don't know. Just a thought. We don't wanna do that.
To start, I guess.
We set that number and in my experience, we never deviated off that number too much.
Right.
I mean, the difference between wages this year and going on a step plus 4 is about $128,000. So basically, by saying you're gonna go on step plus 4, you're talking just about 2 mil. Oh, for wage increases. So, I mean, that's, you know, across all the employees, it's not a bad number in the grand scheme of things, but, you know, it's all gonna come back to where we wanna try to get the budget to as a total number,
Right.
and it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. We're, as an entity, we got a lot of outside boards and stuff that are gonna all be looking at increases too, and it's gonna be
You're gonna be looking at what we do.
finding the increase just within the valuation increase is gonna be, it's not gonna be possible.
My experience with the whole budget's pretty much the same from commission to other boards.
And that's where I'm going, I will just say, yeah, let's give it.
Well, yeah, we
Across the
all,
board, but with the budget and the way things are going, I just know that's impossible to do.
I don't disagree.
I'd love to see everybody be as whole as possible.
That's a tough situation to be in when you know even after giving a good raise that everyone's buying power is gonna be backwards compared to what it was this year. I mean, even after looking at 4+, it's still, we're only gonna be cutting half of the inflation dollar. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a crappy deal, but it is.
We were lucky that
That's the
we,
gig, I guess.
what did we do 4 last year, we're lucky we did that 4 last
Yeah. I
year.
think
Otherwise, we would even be hand tied even more.
I think inflation last year, the COLA and inflation together was about 5.9 or something like that.
It was
right about that. So between 4+ a step, we were still below that, but we were somewhat close. The one thing I will say is inflation right now is obviously driven a lot by oil prices, things like that. So if gas prices ever do come back into line somewhat, maybe it'll help a little bit, but still the inflation number, I mean, we don't see it. Everything's just crazy. Okay, well, let's come to some conclusion, I guess.
So basically, we're trying to get the head to put something together, right?
Well, yeah, we just have to give them guidance so they know what to stick into their budget. This doesn't definitively stick us to anything. It's just to say, hey, when you start putting your budget together, figure this out for your salaries. Just so they can plug it in, basically.
we want more than one number. That's 2 different budgets.
I think,
Any thought there, or you want to just stay with the one number and lower it as we want, or raise it as we want? Or what do you think, Jeff?
ever put in a number and lowered it? Have we ever did that?
no.
No. Okay, so we're not gonna do that.
Well, we know every,
What you do is what you say
You know what the-
tonight pretty much sets the tone.
Okay,
Do you know what the number is for this year yet, as far as inflation?
they haven't come out with anything, but I would guess before it's all done, it's gonna be 8 to 9. Cause I think we've been running in the mid-8s and the inflationary factors on every quarter, so I mean, I would assume it's gonna be 8 to 9.
I can't believe it'd be 84.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if we're lucky it comes in less, but,
Let's gas go the other way $1.
well, they're talking, it could be $6 by August. The 8 might look nice. They're paying way over what we're paying at the pump in places, just north of the border, and many other places in the world are paying way more than we are.
Really nothing, Candy, is it? If you set two figures that come up with 2 different budgets, there's not much of a deal, is it? For the people that are setting their budgets up. What do you think? We've never done that in the past, have we? We've always just come with one number.
Well, if you come with one number, you know that if you make the change completely across the board, say you say we're gonna do 4 and a step, and that's what we're gonna set the budget at. Well, then we know if we drop to 3 and a step, we save $28,000. You know, you drop to 2 and a step, you save 56, because the numbers are just exponential off of a percent basis.
I'll make the motion, we set 4 and step.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
We have a second. We discussed the further discussion. And again, this doesn't lock us to anything, it just gives a place to start.
So what about-
Starting point.
It doesn't matter to me what you say here, but what about the stepped out people? I'll live with it either way, I don't care.
Can we,
Well, if we're giving, if the thought process is 4 and a step, right, and those people at the top of the pay scale are, but the top of the pay scale is only 0.5%, correct, basically? So basically, we're shorting them 0.5%.
how many departments have somebody that's top 3, did you say? 4?
Yeah, we have 5 people.
5 people in 5 different departments?
Yes.
I mean, I'm not saying 0.5% isn't important, but obviously it is, but.
What do you want to do with that, Blaine?
Do you think we should just leave it until we get our salary study?
Well,
Well, we're supposed to get it maybe by October.
Yeah, but you've gotta have final budget done by October.
1, that's right.
Can't push stuff in.
well, we could start at that 4 and a step, and then we
See where the budget comes.
see where the numbers fall, and maybe we can do some figuring in the meantime and look at 0.5% or what have you on the people that have stepped out.
Fair enough. Sounds fair to me.
That wouldn't be very much, I would think.
There's, I can't think that, since there's 6 people in the entire county that,
And it's not like we're gonna deal with 60 to 100.
Yeah, and that's the thing,
That's
it's a very small number, and I think the other thing is too, and granted, I probably won't be at the commission when everything comes back. But when that salary survey comes back, then at that point, you'll almost have to construct the salary survey, put it over the top, and then at that point, have the full discussion about maybe you can stretch the steps a little bit more. And do it all together in one shot. Because then you're gonna reconstruct that whole survey anyway, and put those, you're gonna remaster all the steps anyway. So if you gotta go through all that work, you just say, okay, we'll stretch it 5 more steps or whatever, just put some cap on it. Or some top end on it. I mean, there'll be options at that point. Brian will be able to go through all that, I'm sure. I mean, at least in my mind, that's one of the options we have. Okay. So we got 4 and 4.5, and we have a motion in a second, we have voted, correct? I'm just trying to keep it straight. Okay, further discussion. 4 and a second. 4 and a second. I didn't get my vocab correct. Okay. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Talked about one budget, now let's talk about the addition to the agenda, Commissioner Desa's compensation.
it came to my attention that Lisa hasn't been receiving, and it's been brought up and asked how, and I, like you, I think that.
I just assumed it was.
Just assumed that it was, but since she's already an elected official, but I think that she's doing the job of a commissioner and filling that role. And I agreed to, do sit on various meetings and take the role of a commissioner. I think the compensation should be extended to her as well.
There's no
Is that a
section.
motion?
And yeah, I'll make that a
Second.
motion.
Okay, we have a motion in a second, further discussion.
Before we do that, can we do that?
That was just gonna be my question too.
I haven't seen anything in Century Code that stipulates that they're not eligible for it.
Okay.
You would think that specifically within that Century Code that And that brought Commissioner Deesep to this point would have explicitly said,
you think it would?
and it
Yeah.
doesn't.
I'm for it as long as we should probably check with Bo just to make sure that we
Well,
can.
can we make the motion contingent that it's legal?
Sure, sure.
How about that?
That's fine with me.
Yeah, I have no
Thank
problem
you.
with it.
I just wanna make sure it's legal, that she doesn't have to pay some money back to the company.
Right, all right, I-
Oh,
I know.
perfect.
Well, I guess in my
I'm
mind,
okay with everything.
just because Century Code told us this was the way we had to do it, if we appointed somebody, they would have been receiving. the
And I
pay
did
rather than
accept
we.
it, so I don't know, but you guys figure it out, or both figure it out.
Yeah, we can have both check. So is it okay if motion to do that contingent on both checking it out?
On both checking, yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion to, pay Commissioner Deesep the going rate for all commissioners. Contingent on both checking it out, making sure it's okay with Century Code and everything jabs. Okay, further discussion? Okay, hearing none, should we roll call that just to be safe? Let's roll call that.
Brown,
I,
Volk,
I,
Brett,
Aye.
I can.
and Lightfoot.
Aye, and that's why I roll called it, because we need to be able to say that she said it. Okay, from there, visitors and delegations.
one, we don't have a budget, but I see, Candy dropped this on my desk. The gentleman called me, opioid distributors settlement. In a nutshell, what did it say? Candy, do you know?
That this is the piece of paper that we signed in 2019.
There is a settlement?
Haven't seen the check.
Yeah, I've seen an affidavit that says, nope, how much we're gonna get? Nope.
Well, we don't believe it until he's cashed in.
Big bills or
hopefully it's 25%.
cup of coffee.
Right.
Watch your drink.
Cup of
Not
coffee.
even a $10 check.
We can deep
Yeah, if it's
set
at
this thing.
25%, then we're really talking.
Oh, boy, how many came in that day? Do you hear that, Al? For the, when they creased that?
Oh, I think 3 or 4.
7, oh, I was gonna say 7 or 8.
Yeah, that's plenty.
There's quite a few. I know, my yard, too.
Yeah, I think there's still a lot of up in the air stuff going on with it, because they had a settlement, and then the settlement was vacated, I think.
I'm just curious. Go ahead.
Okay, any other announcements?
Nothing else?
I think everybody knows, but
You can if you like it.
okay. That the office was notified that Birdie had passed away. So. They said it would be something in July.
Here.
Not given a date or anything, so. I'll stay tuned to that and.
She was living in Wisconsin at the time.
I
She
believe
passed.
so, she was in a home.
Closer to that.
Close to her daughter, yeah,
So,
yeah,
Nice lady.
yeah,
yeah.
been looking and looking for an obituary, haven't seen one yet, so.
No,
Really?
no.
Yeah.
Then the other one is District Health has hired a director. Ashley Peterson. And she won't be able to start until October. So she has to finish.
She's on contract with, out of the base. She can't leave that contract.
At the air base.
Yep, and we agreed that, yeah, that's fair enough, you know.
Hey, Al was fine with staying on until then, so, and that's, yeah, you guys are in the situation where at least you have it's not a director walking away, so.
Yeah.
No appreciate there, people won't stay on.
Good.
I just joked with him and told him, I was like,
She
I'm like,
had-
you might as well just stay till the end of the year and get like the whole year and get your last W-2 and then go.
They, she has been here. Just, get the feel for it and stuff. And next meeting, decide on the wage and she.
Preliminarily acceptable.
October's not far away.
No, it's really not.
It's not.
You think it is, it's really not.
Well, and I think that the good part is that you're gonna have an experienced director going through the project process.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm glad Al's willing to stick around.
Big thanks to them for that. Okay, anything else? Hearing no further announcements. Anything else up there? No? We are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Turn it off.